Investigation 5, Finding Energy. Students learn that food is produced by photosynthetic organisms and that food contains energy from the sun that drives life processes. Students explore how food energy moves from one trophic level to another through feeding relationships. They measure energy in food by burning it. It is important that you read the scientific and historical background in this investigation as it has a number of concepts and ideas. Part 1, Energy and Food. Students measure food and energy by burning it. Part 2, Energy and Producers. Students learn that food is produced by photosynthetic organisms. Part 3, Using Energy. Students learn that food contains energy from the sun that drives life processes. Part 4, Trophic Levels. Students learn that food energy moves from one trophic level to another through feeding relationships. My recommendation to you before getting started is to view the teacher preparation video. Engage students in the activity by having them do a quick write. Tell students that they will be answering a question related to energy. There is no right or wrong answer. Their response shows what they think about the topic, and they will come back to this response after they have completed the investigative work on the topic to see how their thinking might have changed. Guide the discussion into possible energy sources, focusing on the common sources of energy, prompting students to discuss what type of energy comes from these and how we get the use for energy. Introduce the burning process. Tell students they will be working to confirm energy in food by burning a snack. Discuss the safety issues. Part 1, the act of burning the snack for confirmation will be done by the teacher. Prompt students with these questions to help them to understand whether or not there is energy in food. Discuss the results and ask students how we could capture the energy that was given. Have students talk in their groups for about a couple of minutes. Share out their ideas. If no one suggests heating something, then this is your opportunity to tell them what they will be doing to measure the energy source. Review the activity. Model the setup. Try to have the foil cups done prior to the activity, as sometimes this can be time consuming. Once again, review safety with students. No hair should be loosely around the flames. Loose clothing should be around the flames as well. Have students use the student sheet measuring food energy to record their information on. Once this project is done, have students clean up. Discuss the food calories using the cheese ball nutritional label. Have students practice calculating the caloric content of a serving. Bring in copies of other food product labels and have students practice to strengthen their understanding. Discuss experimental errors. For instance, the flame system was set up in an open environment, which meant that not all of the heat energy was used to heat the water. So let students know that although this happened, the purpose of doing the activity was to let them know how to measure energy. A little later on in their time, they will be using other systems that will allow them to capture all of the energy. Have students complete the student sheet. Discuss any situations or issues that students might have. Discuss human food webs. Have students work in groups to answer the following questions. Tell students that the last question will be answered by doing an experiment. Use Transparency 10 Food Producers Experiment. Read through the experimental design and data with the students. Have them work in groups to analyze the data, to complete the results, and to write a conclusion. Discuss the results of the food web experiment. Have students share out their ideas about the results. Then introduce students to the word photosynthesis, showing them how parts of the elements in the environment are used for plants to make their own food. Discuss the chemical composition of photosynthesis. Part 2, Energy and Producers, Session 2. Review the concept of food with students. Assess students' progress on the student sheet. Give them a check if they calculated the mass changes accurately and concluded that producers add mass when they are supplied with water, carbon dioxide, and light. Assign the reading for students. Read it with them for the first time, then have them reread it and annotate the article, copying vocabulary in their notebooks and answering the suggested text-dependent questions. Part 3, Using Energy. Review food and energy relationship with students. Have students copy this information into their notebooks as notes. Have students work in groups to answer the following question. What are some kinds of energy work that you do that requires energy? Generate energy use categories. Introduce the energy strips. Students will post the strips and debrief by discussing the sorting. Students review and propose any changes with reasonable explanations. Have students return to the quick write from part 1 to review, comment on, and revise their original ideas about energy. Part 4, trophic levels, session 1. Review food and food web roles with students. Revisit monolithic organisms and guide the discussions. Introduce the trophic levels. Remind students that they first were introduced to levels in Investigation 1. And after reading where food comes from, they should have become quite familiar with these phrases. If you have the time, you can discuss them more in depth. And if students have not recorded them in their notebook, you want to have them do so now. Session 2 of Part 4, have students trace energy through the trophic levels. Pose an energy transferable question that they should be able to answer after they have read the article, Trophic Levels. Part 4, Trophic Levels, Session 3. Discuss in depth the energy transfer and the 10% idea. Remind students that not all energy is given from one organism to the other. A lot of energy is lost in the environment, and a lot of energy is used up through movement, waste production, reproduction and growth, and maintenance. This is just another example of the amount of energy that moves from one session to another. This concludes Investigation 5,